around the Connecticut Sun being out the door. Houston Comets, they're back, y'all. They're back, and fans are officially at war. They're officially at war. Oh, the shadiness of the WNBA. Oh.
Look at that energy. That's not just commentary. That's someone watching a fan base implode in real time. And he's right. The Connecticut Sun just got sold to Tillman Fertitta for $300 million, and the team's moving to Houston after this season. But here's what's driving fans absolutely insane. Boston had a deal on the table. The Celtics ownership group offered money. They had a plan, and the WNBA said no. So why would the league block a sale to one of the biggest basketball markets in America, only to approve a move to a city that already failed once with the Comets? The answer reveals everything about where this league is actually heading.
As we know, yesterday, of course, the news broke. I did a video. The team was sold for $300 million bones. Team will play its final season in Connecticut this year before relocating. By the way, the team is walking in the door down there with a brand new training facility. Going to be playing where the Rockets are. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Well, the team failed there once. You got a whole different climate, though. You got a whole different...
$300 million. Let's put that number in context. The entire WNBA generated $192 million in revenue last season. Fertitta just paid more than the league's annual revenue for one team, and he's immediately relocating them to Houston, building a brand new training facility and playing games in the Toyota Center alongside the Rockets. Meanwhile, the Boston group reportedly offered $325 million. That's $25 million more than Fertitta paid. So if this was purely about money, Boston wins. But it wasn't about money, and that's where this gets interesting.
Work out. I don't understand why Boston wasn't to move. It's a huge basketball town. Do you not realize how big a basketball town Houston is? I'm in Texas. Houston is a huge basketball town. Huge. What are we doing? The Mohegan Sun owners. Okay, that in itself, the first four words, that's a joke. The Mohegan Sun owners should sue the WNBA for tampering.
He just said the quiet part out loud. No state income tax in Texas. And when you're a WNBA player who just went from making $76,000 a year to potentially making $200,000 under the new CBA, that tax difference matters. A player making $200,000 in Connecticut pays roughly $10,000 in state income tax. That same player in Texas, $0. But there's something bigger happening here. Adam Silver and Kathy Engelbert didn't just look at tax rates. They looked at business projections. They sat in conference rooms with both ownership groups, reviewed detailed analytics about market potential, attendance projections, and revenue growth. And they chose Houston.
Where a league barely cracks $200 million in revenue. Here we go. This is absolute bullshit at WNBA. This person's asking why the Sun aren't going back to become the Orlando Miracle. The Orlando Miracle? What a terrible name. This is great news. Connecticut has a weak fan base, and the Comets are coming back. Would be huge. Would be interesting to see how free agency plays out. Yeah, next year. Next year, here we go. $325 million.
Now we're getting to the real issue. Tillman Fertitta is a prominent Republican donor. He supported Trump's campaign and a vocal segment of WNBA fans. The same fans who've built this league's culture for decades are watching the league choose his money over a market they believe aligns better with the WNBA's values. That comment about women's healthcare in Texas? That's not a random rant. That's genuine fear from fans who see this move as a betrayal. They're asking, how can a league that markets itself on empowerment and progressive values relocate a team to a state with some of the strictest abortion laws in the country? But here's what that perspective misses.
Spending money for Fertitta, and look, that's the problem. They know who owns the Rockets. They know his political affiliations, and the old guard is pissed. That's what it is. Let's not get confused. Right here, Women's Basketball League, presumably run by women, forces a women's team out of New England to a region. Oh, so you're shitting on Texas now. Go to all the...
The Dallas Wings already play in Texas. They've been there since 2016, when they moved from Tulsa. And yes, they've struggled with attendance minus, averaging around 6,000 fans per game at the College Park Center. But that's not a Texas problem. That's an ownership and marketing problem. The Wings don't own their arena. They don't have the infrastructure Fertitta's bringing. They don't have the Rockets marketing machine behind them. And most importantly, they don't have the timing. Because right now, women's basketball is experiencing something it's never had before: mainstream momentum. Caitlin Clark's rookie season drove WNBA viewership up 48%. The playoffs averaged 1.4 million viewers on ESPN. Angel Reese, Paige Beakers, Juju Watkins, there's a pipeline of stars coming that didn't exist 5 years ago. Fertitta's not buying into the old WNBA. He's buying into what it's becoming.
And their little pride fiasco they had. Good God. Fertitta family buying the Sun to resurrect the Comets. Tillman must be craving another championship ring. Good luck in H-Town. Oh my God, Comets dynasty reloading. Let's go. That's what I was trying to say. Boy, there's a lot of different opinions on this joker. Are they changing their name back to the Comets? Yeah, they're going to be the Comets. Comets incoming.
This is the part everyone's missing. Ownership groups don't just show up with a check. They present comprehensive business plans, market analysis, revenue projections, partnership deals, media strategies, long-term growth models. Boston's plan probably looked great on paper: major market, passionate basketball fans, Celtics infrastructure, TD Garden availability. But Houston's plan must have looked better, and we can guess why. The Houston metro area has 7.5 million people compared to Boston's 4.9 million. Texas has no state income tax, which becomes a massive recruiting advantage as salaries increase. The Rockets already have corporate partnerships in place that can cross-promote, and here's the kicker: Fertitta owns the arena. He controls scheduling, revenue splits, and game day experience completely. Boston would have been tenants in TD Garden, competing for dates with the Celtics and Bruins. Houston, they're the priority tenant alongside the Rockets, with an owner who has direct financial incentive to make both teams successful.
They pretty good lineage for the W. Did they? Because that team looked like straight trash last year. Really? On behalf of Texas, trade Marina Mabry right out of that joker. Oh, free agents. Never mind. Never mind. $300 million Fertitta robbed them. It'll be worth a lot more in a couple of years. You can bet. I bet he presented a plan, a business plan to Adam Silver.
That question about free agency is crucial, because if Houston becomes a destination market, warm weather, no state tax, brand new facilities, big market exposure, they become a player in every major free agency negotiation starting in 2026. Think about the Fever situation right now. Caitlin Clark's on a rookie contract through 2028, but Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Nalissa Smith, they're all approaching free agency within 2 years. If Houston builds a contender, they can pitch, come play in Texas, keep more of your money, compete for championships, get major market exposure. That's the long game Fertitta's playing. He's not buying the Connecticut Sun's roster, he's buying positioning for the next era of the WNBA.
They keep bringing up Boston, blah, 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 blah. They sit down in these conference rooms, these ownership groups, and they have to present a business plan related to the region, related to the area, complete with analytics, projections on the amount of money that can be earned in a certain region. Adam Silver and Kathy Engelbert obviously saw the projections around Houston in a thriving state like Texas, and they said, oh, the league, the team is going to make a lot more money in Houston than they are in Boston.
Here's what this decision really tells us about the WNBA's priorities. And this is where it gets uncomfortable for some fans, but it needs to be said. The league chose growth over geography. They chose market potential over cultural alignment. They chose an owner with deep pockets and infrastructure over an ownership group in a quote-unquote better market. And most significantly, they chose to ignore the political concerns that a segment of their fan base considers non-negotiable. That's a calculated risk. The WNBA knows their core fan base skews progressive. They know moving a team to Texas under Republican ownership will generate backlash. They did it anyway, which means they've decided that expanding the fan base, reaching new markets, attracting casual viewers, building mainstream appeal, is more important than keeping their existing base completely happy. Is that the right call? Depends on what you think the WNBA should be. If you believe the league should prioritize the fans who supported it through 25 years of losses, who showed up when arenas were empty, who built the culture that made this recent growth possible, then Boston made more sense. Those fans would have embraced that team, TD Garden would have been packed, the cultural fit would have been seamless. But if you believe the WNBA needs to become a mainstream league that can sustain itself financially without NBA subsidies, that can pay players salaries comparable to international leagues, that can expand to 16 or 20 teams, then you need owners like Fertitta, you need markets like Houston, you need infrastructure and investment and business acumen that can scale. The Connecticut Sun drew 6,200 fans per game last season at Mohegan Sun Arena. That's a casino venue with limited corporate partnership potential and zero synergy with other professional teams. They were a successful team on the court, made the playoffs consistently, developed talent, competed for championships, but they weren't growing the business. Houston gives the league a chance to prove that women's basketball can work in a major Sunbelt market with proper investment. If Fertitta puts real money into marketing, if he leverages Rockets partnerships, if he builds a competitive roster and draws 8,000 to 10,000 fans per game, that's a proof of concept for future expansion. And let's address the elephant in the room, Fertitta's politics. He donated to Trump's campaign, he's been vocal about his conservative views. For fans who see the WNBA as more than just basketball, as a league that represents progressive values, LGBTQ inclusion, and social justice, that's a betrayal. But here's the question the league clearly asked itself. Can we afford to exclude wealthy owners based on political affiliation? Because if the answer is yes, you're limiting your ownership pool significantly. And you're making a statement that the WNBA is a political organization first, and a basketball league second. That might be what some fans want, but it's not what builds a sustainable professional sports league. The NFL has owners across the political spectrum, so does the NBA. They prioritize financial stability and market growth over political alignment. The WNBA just signaled they're doing the same. Now, does that mean fans have to like it? Absolutely not. The backlash is real, and it's justified from their perspective. These are fans who've been told for years that the WNBA is different, that it's a league built on values, that it stands for something beyond basketball. And now they're watching the league make the same cold business calculations that every other sports league makes. That disillusionment is understandable, but it's also probably inevitable, because as the WNBA grows, as the money gets bigger, as the stakes get higher, it becomes harder to maintain that outsider identity. You can't be a scrappy underdog league and a major professional sports organization at the same time. The Connecticut Sun sale is that tension made visible. It's the moment where the WNBA chose scale over sentiment, where they chose Houston's potential over Boston's cultural fit, where they chose Fertitta's resources over his politics. And here's the thing, they might be right. If Houston succeeds, if the team draws crowds and generates revenue and becomes a destination for free agents, this decision looks brilliant in 5 years. The league will have proven they can succeed in diverse markets with diverse ownership. They'll have expanded their footprint and their business model. But if Houston fails, if the team struggles with attendance like the Wings do, if the political backlash drives away sponsors, if players refuse to sign there because of Texas politics, then the league will have alienated their core fan base for nothing. They'll have chosen growth and gotten decline instead. So which is it going to be? That's what makes this fascinating. This isn't a done deal with a predictable outcome. This is a genuine gamble on the league's future direction. And we're all going to find out together whether the WNBA made the right call. My prediction? Houston succeeds, but not immediately. Year 1 will be rough. Relocated teams always struggle with attendance early, but by year 3, if Fertitta invests properly and the team competes, they'll average 8,000 fans and prove the model works. And 5 years from now, when the WNBA expands to 16 teams, they'll be targeting more Sunbelt markets with similar ownership profiles. That's the future the league just chose. Not the future their core fan base wanted, but the future they believe gives them the best chance at long-term sustainability. So here's my question for you. Was this the right move? Should the WNBA have prioritized Boston's cultural fit and existing fan base support? Or is Houston's growth potential and infrastructure worth the backlash? Because you can't have both. The league made their choice. Now it's time to see if it pays off. Drop your take in the comments. And if you think I'm missing something here, tell me why. Because this decision is going to define the WNBA's trajectory for the next decade, and we should all be paying attention.